fresh out the oven.
What is crackin', everybody? It's MegapiemanPHD here, and welcome to another Look at My Map video. This time we're looking at past Gridiron RC1A. That means that, yes, this map is now fully released on the Steam Workshop. You can find a link to it in the description of the video, and vote for it. Either positive or negative. Whatever you want. Vote positive, vote negative, subscribe, don't, favorite it, don't, give an award, don't, tell your friends, don't, tell your mother, don't, do as you please. But yes, Gridiron is now, quote-unquote, done, or at least is the first version of the map that is done. The reason why I've decided to make Gridiron done is because the main feedback that I'm getting for the map are based on decisions that I've done purposefully different from stock pastime maps. So, since those decisions are done on purpose to try to see how things play, see if it works better than normal pastime, see if it doesn't. And the map seems to play pretty well over the past couple of tests. It's been playing about as well as you could hope for a pastime map, I would imagine. And people seem to like it. Even if they don't like pastime, they kind of like it. Some people don't like it because it's pastime. What are you going to do about that? That's the game mode we're working with here. But pretty much, I couldn't think of anything else to do with the map outside of, gutting the whole thing and starting over again, which at that point, there's no point in it, because, it's pastime, people don't like pastime anyway, and the entire purpose of the map is to do different things, such as being a shorter, wider map that's easier to get to the, or at least faster to get to the goals, and harder to defend the goals than normal pastime. It's a big problem with normal pastime is the maps are extremely long, meaning that everybody plays Scout, because Scout is the fastest, and can cover the most ground the quickest. So if you play anything else, it's going to take you forever and a day to get anywhere. And if you're not playing Scout, then you're going to be playing Engineer, building a sentry gun at one spot that will cover pretty much everything, both of the goals or all three of the goals, and that's it. You just shut everything down, and that's the game. You just wait for the time to run out, and that's usually how pastime goes. So the entire idea of this map is to try to do that differently by making it shorter to the goals and harder for a single engineer by themselves to cover everything. There are some changes between this and the last version I did a video of. A lot of the changes happen around mid here. You can see the coal pile in mid is quite different than it used to be. The reason for that is sentries in mid have been a problem, and a big problem where they are. A lot of them are built up in these areas, like behind this spot and down in here. So I changed around the coal piles to make their angle to a point that wouldn't allow people to be able to build sentry guns where the coal pile is. Anywhere in this mid area that is the coal pile texture, you can't build on. You can still build down here. You can still build right here on the middle point, but you can't build on all of this. I was a bit worried that that would be somewhat problematic, that people would be complaining and walking up there as engineer like, why can't I build here? But nobody said squat. So it seems to get across that why you can't build there is because it's a big coal pile that's at odd angles. The same reason why you can't build on a staircase because it's too sharp of an angle. Try to make the angle, get across that the angles are too sharp or the ground is too unsteady, so you can't build there. And people seem to understand. Nobody's complained about it. Nobody said squat to me about it. And if I hadn't said anything, maybe you wouldn't have said squat either. So, I like it. I like it a lot. The entire idea is that this coal is supposed to have, dropped from up here. It's where the pastime ball comes out of. But that the coal would have came out of here, dropped down into the middle, and then be shoveled to the furnaces on the side. So, I think I get that across with the big coal pile. The coal pile allows for some nice dynamicness. I did move around some of the textures, change things around here at mid, just to try to make more sense as to why the coal is there, so you can see through it, because it's got a grate, why the coal is underneath it, as if the coal fell through the grate, and get some nice trim work on that bridge thing there. I was thinking of making it a full-on bridge, but looking at it, it doesn't really have the right spacing for it, and I don't think that would have fixed the sentry problem in the middle of this map, so I decided not to. I decided to go the coal pile route, and it seems to work. A little bit of detail change on these things, just to try to make them a little bit more interesting. And detail change-wise, the only really big thing that I got to completely rework is the Gridiron Works logo. Now, I am not an artist. My dreams of being an artist are long gone. But some people were saying that the logo sign that I came up with for Gridiron Works before really didn't look all that great. So I went back to the drawing board, looked up some 60s logos, tried to see what I could come up with, and this is what I came up with. And honestly, I kind of like it. I showed it off to people, they seemed to like it, I liked it, I think it works, I think it looks more like a realistic logo a place would actually have. I could see this on like a company shirt, one of those button-down company shirts that people have. And I put the date on the bottom there. It's actually the year my grandmother was born. I just thought I needed a date that was for the 1960s, and I thought, why not? Why not make it mean something to me since I made the map? 1921. There we go. So, Gridiron Works has been around since 1921 in the fiction, and I think this really works out. I really like how the spacing of the letters sort of fit into each other, and this wasn't even really on purpose, but it sort of gives off of the silhouette of an I-beam in the middle there, especially with the eye looks like an I-beam because an I-beam is in the shape of an eye, which is why it's called an I-beam. Duh. But the grid itself with the big G, the big D, and the R and the I smaller sort of fits into the look of an I-beam as well. Ironworks fits nicely in there, all the letters seem to fit nicely, and I think it reads pretty well. Some people are saying that it doesn't read super great. They sort of read GDRI Ironworks, but I think it works enough. It's believable to be a logo that I would see in reality. Now, some real logos aren't that great, but it's believable enough, and I used just some stock fonts for this as well, just stock fonts from Microsoft Word, so I didn't have to download anything or try to pay for anything for that, so I think it turned out pretty well. It's about as good as it's going to get with my levels of artistic talent, which is slim to none. Any other changes? Oh yes, I've decided to try something again that I tried a while ago when this map was much earlier in development, and that is making the goals worth different amounts of points. Now, usually, the run-in goal is worth 1 point, the throw-in goal is worth 1 point, and the bonus goal is worth 3 points. Now, Flurry, when they made Pass Small Time, which is a custom pastime map that Flurry worked on and did a lot to change around how pastime works, what he did is he made it so that every goal but the bonus goal is worth 2, and the bonus goal is worth its normal 3. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try to find a nice middle ground between what Flurry was doing with Small Time and the normal pastime logic from stock with Gridiron, but I decided that what I would do is I would make the goals worth different amounts, and that would be dependent upon where they are. The throw-in goals, the closest to mid, it's the easiest of the goals to get to, it is worth 1 point. The run-in goal is a lot harder to get to, it is worth 2 points, and then the bonus goal, which you have to charge up and then get to, is of course worth its normal 3 points. Now, as I said before, I have tried this at some point before, but the problem was when I tried this, I didn't have the throw-in goal as forward as it was. The throw-in goal used to be here, and back when the map started, it was all the way over here. So when I was trying the 2 points for the run-in goal and the 1 point for the throw-in goal back then, there really wasn't a reason to use the throw-in goal because they were close enough to each other that it didn't really matter which one you went to in the end. You might as well go to the run-in goal, which is worth 2 points because you get more points for it, and it's about the same distance and the same difficulty as the throw-in goal. Now that I moved the throw-in goal forward by a good bit and made it so that you can chuck the ball into there, like if you're playing as a heavy, all you have to do is get to this platform with the jack, and you could pretty much throw it in from there, or at least pretty close to here. If you jump and you throw it, you should be able to get it into there, which is a nice distance. And so that's worth 1 point because it's the farthest forward, and the running goal is worth 2 points. It does mean that sometimes you end up where, since Pastime is playing to 5 points, there are sometimes games where one team gets more than 5 points and would win. Like if you get 3 run-in goals, you get 6 points. So, I mean, you win, but you win with more than 5. Whereas a normal Pastime, unless you got 2 bonus goals, you're not going to get more than 5 points because normal goals are only with 1 point. But I feel it's fine. It doesn't break the logic. It reads perfectly fine. It makes the most amount of sense. It just seems to work. A problem with Pastime that I'm unable to fix actually comes with how the announcer works. Now, for a small time, Flurry had me record some custom announcer lines for it, since Pastime doesn't really have announcer lines. And I incorporated those into Gridiron, since, I mean, it's me and it's my map, so why not? But the problem is that when you die and are spectating the other team, it will play the announcements for that team for you. So if you're on blue team and you die, and you spectate somebody on red team, and that person or somebody on the red team grabs the jack, it will say, we have the jack, even though you're on blue team and blue team does not have the jack. That is based entirely on who you're spectating, and I don't have any control over it. That's just how Pastime is. There's also, unfortunately, a bug when it comes to overtime, where if the Pastime jack is spawning in overtime, sometimes things flip out like that. That's just how Pastime works. A lot of stuff in Pastime is kind of busted, since it wasn't really fully finished, and there's only so much we can do from a map side point. I mean, the TF2 devs would have to go in there and actually fix this stuff, and they probably won't. This map does still have the overtime goals. As you see, if I back into here, you'll see that door disappear, and you'll see that goal right there. Overtime, when overtime activates, those goals, which are the closest to mid, open up, and you can score points there in order to try to win a little bit quicker instead of overtime lasting for an obscenely long amount of time. Before I put the overtime goals in, I had a couple of tests where overtime just basically never freaking ended. Overtime only ends if somebody scores, or if the ball resets. If somebody scores, the ball resets, or if the game isn't tied, whichever team has the most score grabs the ball. So if blue has 3 points and red has 1 point, since blue can get 4 points if they get the bonus goal, it'll go into overtime when time runs out. But if whoever had 3 points gets the ball back, then overtime is over. Or if the ball resets, overtime is over. But because that those are really the only things that can happen. If you have a tie where both teams have 0 points, overtime just keeps on going until either the ball resets or somebody scores. So to try to make somebody scoring a little bit easier so that the game doesn't just stalemate by the ball resetting, I have the forward overtime goal, which seems to play pretty well. It seems to work out pretty well. It does make for 4 goals for Pastime, and no other map that I know of has tried an overtime goal before. I don't know if it'll be a thing that catches on, but it seems to work. I don't know if it'll be a thing that catches on having goals worth different amounts of points, but so far it seems to work. The overtime goal is only worth 1 point, though. I believe. Yeah. It's not set to... I could have it set to whoever scores in it wins, but I feel like that's a little cheap, because if one team has like 4 points and one team has I don't know, not 4 points and it goes into overtime, the team with the least points could win if they would score on the overtime goal, and that caused them to win automatically. So I felt a little bit cheap, so just keeping it at 1 point, it should be fine. And hopefully everything works from there. But that's it. That's Gridiron. It is now on the Steam Workshop. Check it out. Give it a vote. I don't expect much traffic to come to this map. People don't really care about pastime. I don't really care about pastime. Working on this map at some points has been a freaking nightmare. Just trying to figure out how to make a pastime map work in some sort of semblance of successfully. And even at that, there's plenty of people who have plenty of criticisms for this map, and I agree with those criticisms, mainly because those criticisms are based off of things I'm doing on purpose to try to be different from other pastime maps and see how the public likes it and see how things go. So, there you go. That's past Gridiron. Let me know what you think in the comments on YouTube or on the page for TF2 Maps, and check it out on the Steam Workshop if you're interested in giving it a vote, or let me know what you think, or anything like that. If you're interested in me and my stuff, you can, of course, subscribe right here to whatever this channel is. I can't remember. This is the second channel I have. This channel is all based on voice acting stuff and mapping / devlog stuff, whereas my main channel, youtube.com, MegapiemanPHD, is my more focused videos, although I haven't put anything over there in a while, which I probably should do. But anyway, you can subscribe, you can like videos, whatever have you, do as you please. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Megapieman, and I'll talk to you guys later.